Yeah, it feels like home. It feels like, how did I ever not know you in this life? How did I ever not know you? And it feels like, everybody's different, but for me, it felt like I had my life before and I have my life now. Like there's a distinction between who you were before you met this person in this life and who you are now.
Ooh,
And
that's juicy. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to your favorite spiritual podcast, High Vibin It, where every week we are here to help you live your best life, manifest your dreams, love yourself, talk about fun spiritual stuff, personal development. And Lindsay and I are just, your hosts, but we're also along for the ride in this crazy thing called life. And we like to nerd out about it and how it works and how it is and universal things. And in the spirit of that, today we are going to dive into all things soulmates, questions that people have been asking Lindsay on TikTok ever since she went TikTok viral, which is awesome. You should follow her on TikTok. It's Lindsay Robinson. And you should follow me on TikTok, even though I didn't go viral, Kelsey Aida.
yet, can we add a
And
yet to that?
yeah, that's true. Inevitable. But yeah, soulmates we are talking about because one, Lindsay and I are soulmates, so we want to nerd out about it. And two, in true manifesting generator fashion, which we both are, which if you're like, what the fuck is that? You should go back and listen to our human design episodes. In manifesting generator fashion, this is something that Lindsay has really been responding to lately. And I thought it would be fun to tag along and also respond. So here we are, being manifesting generators, answering people's questions, responding to what the masses are interested in. And we want to talk about soulmates and we want to make it a 2 to 3 part series. So this will be the first of 2 or 3 episodes. We haven't decided. Depends how many questions we get to.
At least two.
At least 2. So make sure you're subscribed. Stay tuned for that. It'll probably come out a couple weeks after this one, not like right after. So yeah, just another reason to keep tuning in to your favorite show. So here we are. Lindsay, how are you doing today?
Lindsay's good. Lindsay took a shower today, so that's always a great start to the day. What else? Everything's good. Life's good. 2023 is definitely sparkly so far.
Nice.
That's what I've been hearing from a lot of people, and not just that 2023 is going well, but how crappy 2022 went. And I get it. 2022 was a wild ride, more so than I think, not more so, but just as hard, I think, as maybe 2020 for some people, just because it's a flux, it's a change and unexpected. But anyway, yeah, 2023 is going good. I'm ready. I'm ready to talk about all the things that people ask me about and that I tend to, 3 minutes is not that long. And TikTok's like, you got 3 minutes, girl. You better get this answer. And
I
it's
know.
very
And everybody wants the answer in like 15 seconds to
yeah.
3 minutes on a social media post. And I'm like, this is a very deep topic. It's worth doing multiple podcast episodes on.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
Let's dive into one of the most existential questions of life and existence, but you have 3 minutes maximum.
Right.
Yeah, it's almost an impossible task. But that being said, even someone asked me 2 plus 2, I'm going to go on for 10 minutes because I feel like I just have to. But I think let's get into some of the most common questions that I honestly, I think, Kelsey, you can agree, like, I don't think about people not knowing the stuff. I mean, I know it sounds stupid, but like I forget that there are people starting literally at square one with all the questions about what are we and what are humans and what's a soul group and soulmates. And so it is refreshing to kind of take a step back and realize that not everybody has the research and the knowings that I have from my years of just experiencing clients and reading and stuff. So it was very daunting to hear these questions because I was like, oh, wait, what? You don't? Okay. Okay, let's go there. But the main one is, okay, there's 2 main ones, and you can tell me which one we answer first. So the first one is, what if I've never met somebody that makes me feel like that? And then the second one is, what about my cat or my dog or my, they basically want me to confirm who's in their soul group and who isn't. And this is a distinction before we even get started. So I'm going to say the word soul group and soulmate. They are essentially a part to a whole. So a soulmate is a part of your soul group. No one can be a soulmate without being in your soul group. They have to be in your soul group. So we have a nucleus soul group, which is the people that are closest to us. Usually they come through as your parents, your kids, your best friend, your partner, those people that you have lived a life before. Or even if you don't know that, you feel a deep connection with them as if you've known them your whole life. So that is the distinction between a soul group and a soulmate. I'm probably going to say it a lot.
Yeah, and I think it should be noted that this whole episode and all the answers we are giving are based on the belief of reincarnation.
Oh yeah,
and
disclaim.
living multiple lives. So
and
yeah.
I'm going to post videos on my TikTok about the books that have really helped me kind of research this topic. But just to get you guys started, if you have zero idea what we're talking about, which I don't know if there's anybody listening that wouldn't, but if you don't, if you're brand new to the show, Journey of the Soul and Destiny of the Soul. Destiny of Souls and Journey of Souls by Michael Newton, PhD, is where I started, is the first kind of author that I really read on this topic and changed my whole life. So if you're just brand new getting started, great books to get going on.
Great books. I like them.
I talk about them all the time.
Also, yes. Yeah, they're definitely interesting reads because it's not just like guessing how it is. It's people recalling and knowing and explaining
so he's a hypnotherapist
in between space.
He's a hypnotherapist, which at the time I was like, what the heck is a hypnotherapist? Ha ha ha. What is this? What's going on? He basically takes his clients to a trance state, hypnotherapy state, hypnosis state, to go through the selection of their next life, that in between the last life and the next life, to get to know their soul group, to understand what their soul does in the in-between time, which is super fascinating. We all have things that we like to do in between time, and how they choose, the process of choosing their next life. So yeah, it's written as if it's a transcript. So his question, their answer, all typed out as if you're reading the session, which is what kind of drew me to it. Cause it's like being a fly on the wall, and it's just very, it's interestingly written, and it's very educational. So yeah, I like it a lot.
Well, and the cool part was everyone was basically explaining the same thing. So then it's kind of like undeniable, and everyone's accessing the same information. It's pretty compelling. So if you're like on the fence or open to it, it was definitely a good read.
Well, and I wasn't even like, I was just like, oh, my sister gave me the book and was like, you have to read this book. And I was like, what is this book? What are you doing? I was 19. Like, what? I read it and I was like, how did I not know this?
Did you believe in reincarnation before that, or no? Was that like your first intro?
I'm about to put my dad on blast. Yes, I did. Because, so I grew up from the ages of 0 to 10 going to church. My mom is still very, very devout Christian. And Bible thumper, I think is the word. I don't want to be derogatory, but if there was a definition, it would be my mother. And so I grew up going to church. But as a young kid, I was just like, wait a minute. So I could really literally do anything and just ask for forgiveness and it's fine. Like, what about just being a good person? To me, it didn't make sense. And I know there's a lot of religious people that listen, and I understand where they're coming from now. Be a good person, definitely. But even as a kid, it didn't really resonate with me. Go to live with my dad when I was like 10, and he's just all about like, this is my last life. I'm never coming back. He's just like and I was like, what are you talking about? And I don't remember the conversation, but I remember him being like, oh yeah, you think this is just once? Like, no, you come back multiple times. And he has told me stories about his past lives. And I was just fascinated. I was like, this is so cool. You're nuts, but this sounds awesome. Like, I don't know whether to believe you or like what. I was 10 or 11 years old, but I kind of have just like come to be comfortable with that knowing. Like, I think there's a reason that it resonated with me in the same way that other things resonate with other people. This resonated with me, and it like lit something up in me, and it just fit. It made sense to me. Like, oh, so it's about our growth. It's about us evolving and growing and expanding in beautiful ways, and sometimes painful ways, but always to the benefit of us. Like, that just feels so much better than anything else, I guess.
Right. Definitely feels better than you die and then you're gone.
I'm
And this is your only shot, so don't fuck it up.
YOLO. Just kidding.
Yeah, for me, like people would always tell me I was an old soul. Like ever
Yeah.
since I was tiny, they'd be like, "Oh, you're such an old soul. You're such an old soul." And I think I always just knew like, "Oh yeah, it's in my first rodeo. I've
Yeah.
been here a million billion times." And
people don't really know what they're saying when they say that, do they? I don't
Yeah.
think it really hits the same. Like when I hear, because people say Jack is an old soul, the librarians at his school are like, your son? Oh my God, yes, he is such an old soul. Oh my God, yes, Jack, yeah. And then they're just like, do you guys, what's going on? But I don't think they realize what they're saying because they're saying it to me. And if they really want to go there, I will go there. I'll be like, ladies, you have no idea.
Like, let me tell you about it.
But it's such a common phrase. And exactly the same thing. I was told that by my mother, incidentally, a lot. Like, you're so wise for your age. And I think that there's a reason that we say those things without knowing really what the reason is. And I think deep down, it's something that makes sense, right? Like, old soul. Yeah, you're not coming here. This isn't your first rodeo. It's just
Makes
not.
sense to me. It always
Totally.
made sense to me, especially from the perspective of if energy is neither created nor destroyed, then where are you gonna go when you're gone? You ain't gone.
Yeah.
You just go somewhere else and have a different experience. Maybe not with your body anymore. Maybe you come back and pick another body. And I always like make jokes to Jeffrey. I'm like, wow, you really picked a good body in this lifetime. Like, look at you. Look at us. We were picking those good bodysuits. We weren't fucking around this time.
Yeah.
We're like, I'm coming in and I'm coming in hot and I'm going to be strong and I'm going to be
Literally
healthy and I'm
coming in
going to be
hot.
beautiful.
I think
I always make like reincarnation jokes with him. Such a nerd.
I think I chose I have no doubt that I chose my body. But I also, as a kid, had this very distinct knowing, and I could never explain it. And I don't think I've even ever told anybody as a kid. I've told people now, but I've always had this distinct knowing of what it would be like to have a penis.
You're like, oh yeah, I remember when I had a penis. So
I just knew, like, it did not feel when I thought about having one, like it never felt weird to me. But I'll talk to other people and they'll be like, no, I could not imagine having something flopping around between my legs. Like, how weird. And I could imagine that it is a weird idea, but it just isn't weird. It's not weird to me. But then you'll have people say, well, oh, that's just your ancestral memories, which I do think that maybe we carry some of that as well. But you know, you take your choice. What you're
well,
gonna
and who's to say like you weren't your ancestors in your past life?
Now we just burst open another Pandora's box, which is so fascinating. And I think that I've been told one time by a channeler friend that I was an ancestor in like the 1920s, but me being a genealogist and looking, I haven't found them yet. Apparently I was a writer or an author or something. So I'm looking for a writer in the 1920s that I can be like, oh, that was them. Haven't found him yet, but or her. I don't know if it was a boy or girl, but I think that there is a lot of that. I think we definitely can. And this brings me to some more questions. So let's get through the first one first.
Yeah. So the first ones you said. So pets.
Well, the first one was pets or what if I've never met somebody that I feel that strong connection with? And I think that one came up so much more commonly than I thought it would.
Okay, let's talk about that one.
TikTok is a lonely place.
Yeah, it is.
but okay, so well, I did do a video on this answer, but I do want to answer it here too, because if you haven't seen it and you're feeling this way, you are not alone, ironically, in feeling like you're alone. It's clearly a very common thing. And what I would say to those people is, okay, growing up, you may know this about me or you may not, but I didn't have on the surface what would be like an ideal, childhood. It was perfect for me because it helped me grow into who I am, but I didn't really feel like I found my people, quote people, until I moved to California. And when I say that, like, look, I know that certain members of my family are my people. Like, I feel that. I didn't know that there were more, because there are so many. I put this on my Instagram recently, but you haven't even met all the people that are going to love you in your life. Like, you still haven't even met all the people that are going to love you. So when I moved when I was 20 years old to California, I've never felt more alone in my life. I moved alone. I had roommates that were cool, but didn't know them. I was in a completely new place, and it took me a couple years to find my now husband, and who became one of my best friends at first, and had my kids. And I'm not saying that your people can only be husband and kids. What I'm saying is you haven't met them yet. And if you're looking for them, they're looking for you too. And so what I would say is live your life, make decisions. I would work on listening to intuition, because when I moved, I know now that that was an intuitive like pull, but I had no idea what it was at the time. I easily could have ignored it as like, oh, that's nuts. Like, what are you even thinking, moving by yourself? But I didn't ignore it. And I moved with no reason to believe that it would work out. So practicing your intuition, because that will always lead you to your people if you want to be there. And I even said in the video, like, I could be reading this comment wrong. You might love to be by yourself and not want to meet any of them, but there is not a soul on this planet that doesn't have a soul group. I just don't think it's a thing. I don't know. What do you think, Kels?
I don't think there's any soul loners. Like, oh, you're the
No,
only
like,
one
I
who
don't
doesn't have a
wanna.
group. Sorry.
You would
I
be
think
probably exceptional.
I think we're definitely here to help each other learn and grow, and to support each other, and to antagonize each other, and to do all
Yeah.
the things. And I think that a lot of it is not necessarily predetermined like to a script, but definitely predestined in a sense, or fabricated to a degree,
Mhm.
where you
Yeah.
and the people in your soul tribe were like, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back down to earth again. And this time I'm going to play this role and you're going to play this role. And this is how we're going to help each other to grow and learn. And here's what I'm working towards. And here's what you're working towards. And here's how we can help each other in that end goal. And I think
Mhm.
it's important for us to dive a little bit into like that recognition that people can feel. Like, how do you know if you've met your soulmate? You know, like from my
Yeah.
experience, I feel like soulmates feel distinctly comfortable. They
Yeah.
feel warm usually, and they feel like home. Like they
Home.
feel calming to your nervous system. They feel like, oh, I've known this person before. Like when you look into their eyes, it's like, oh, so familiar. Like, where do I know you from? Do I know you? It's kind of like that feeling. And yeah, I've definitely experienced that a couple times, which is to be distinct from when you meet a twin flame, which is like a whole separate thing that people I feel like can get confused like with their twin flame and
Okay.
their
Okay.
soulmate.
Yes, but let's talk about that, because I think you and me think differently about twin flame. So what I think is that a twin flame and a soulmate can be distinct. And I also believe that a soulmate, let's say he who must not be named, is a soulmate who in a past life was your caretaker or your child, or that deep loving bond that you have to help you both grow in that way. And then when you're in the in-between time, you're like, okay, let's shake it up a little bit. Like, what if we help each other expand in a really fast way that, our human selves aren't going to thank us for, but it's okay because we're the soul and we know better, you know? And then you guys decide to just like play that role. Like, I don't think that just because it's a hard relationship, and I know you don't think this either, but just because it's a hard relationship, it has to be this star-crossed, destined to fail twin flame romance. Like, I just think that, and it doesn't always have to be romance even, right? Like we talked about a couple weeks ago, you have a very interesting theory on who my twin flame is, and I believe that I agree with you because I never considered that before. But it's this relationship that is hard, rough, humanly uncomfortable, but on the soul level, you know what you're doing. And I know
Yeah.
that can land. I need you to say that because that's going to land real hard on some people's ears, and I don't like confrontation. So you make that make sense, because I know we think the same.
Well, I definitely think that looking at it from this perspective, that twin flames can be like a subgroup of your soulmates. So
Yes.
they don't have to be like opposite from the soulmate.
What do you think about the theory that a twin flame is a fragment of your own soul?
Well,
Because I don't know if
that's what everything is.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Because I
But
don't.
also, like from the definition of twin flame, they say a twin flame is like your ultimate mirror, like your other half, like your soul split into two people, which I don't necessarily subscribe wholeheartedly to that.
Right.
But I do think the like being with in any type of relationship with a twin, which I think we can have multiple twins, but I don't think we have as many twins as we have soulmates. I think there's a lot more soulmates out there than twins. The twin dynamic is meant to teach you unconditional love. Whether or not you're meant to relate to them in the 3D for your entire life or for a long time is a totally different, separate story. I think that soulmate dynamics, whether it's a friendship, romantic partnership, family member, that is something that can be really sustainable. And twin flame dynamics are usually like a roller coaster, a lot of up and down, a lot of passion, heatedness, a lot of back and forth, a lot of runner chaser. It's just, whether it's romantic or something else, it's just a lot of like not sustainable, like bursts of
and I don't think a twin
energy
flame is
and
meant
lessons.
meant to stay for your whole life. You know what I mean?
They
Like that dynamic.
I think they can, but I don't think that's ultimately like the purpose of the dynamic. I think that soul contract is more like, let's learn our lessons with each other in the most like intense, fast way. So you can become enlightened like really, really quick, but you might not like or enjoy the process. And a lot of times the fastest way to become enlightened is to go through a great amount of pain.
And you know what's beautiful about this whole episode and this whole conversation is nobody fucking knows, right? Like people will scream at the top of their lungs that they know for sure, but nobody knows. You don't know. I don't know. I'm guessing. But I'm guessing based on what I believe and what I feel, and I hope that you do too. And I would never want anyone to believe anything or hear my words and take them in unless they resonated. And I can only hope that for other people. But at the end of the day, nobody knows. No one knows. We're just guessing, but
we're theorizing and we have glimpses. Because I feel like at a certain level, like, I'm not going to say I don't completely know. Like, I feel like I do know something, like for certain. And I'm not saying I know everything. I have all the answers, but I think that there is a knowing. And that's why when you come across theories that resonate with you, you can know.
Well, right. Yeah. You can have a knowing within yourself, but I don't think any amount of knowing within yourself is enough to say, don't believe anything else. This is what you should believe. And I don't think that anybody should be doing that. I think we should all be asking the right questions and we should all be helping others ask those questions for themselves so that they can come to the conclusion that feels best for them. Kelsey has, I would say, a much up close. I don't know, because now that you said it, I think I got one too. But I was going to say, I think you have the best up close and personal perspective of a twin flame. But now I'm thinking about 7 years of this dynamic. And I'm just like, oh, I think I gave it
for
away
another
now.
episode. For another episode. So
but
back to the soulmate.
Back to the happy rainbow times. Okay. Yeah, it feels like home. It feels like, how did I ever not know you in this life? How did I ever not know you? And it feels like, you know, everybody's different, but for me, it felt like I had my life before and I have my life now. Like there's a distinction between who you were before you met this person in this life and who you are now.
Ooh, and that's juicy.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's just how I kind of, it's how I not rationalize, but it's how I've arranged it in my head. It's not something I did on purpose even. It's just like, oh, that was before I knew you. Like it's like pre and post. It's very interesting. But those listening may know exactly what we're talking about and have people in mind. If you're one of those that has never felt that, maybe you just haven't met them yet. And I don't want to say that I don't believe people when they say this, because if that's how you're feeling, that's how you're feeling. I would just say, don't discount people you've already met just because it didn't shake the earth.
Maybe you just weren't sensitive to it at that time. Maybe you didn't know. So who's to say you haven't met them?
Best friends and siblings and parents and children and aunts, uncles, grandparents, adoptive parents,
mentors,
foster parents, mentors. I mean, all the different types of people in your life. It's very hard for me to believe that you've never met one. Even, and you know, soulmates, this is a topic that we can talk about too. No one said a soulmate's there for life. A soulmate can pop into your life, show you what you need to know, be there for you in the way that you need and pop back out. Like it can be there for 5 minutes or 50 years. There's no rules when it comes to like the length of time for them to be a soulmate. So that's something too. If that opens any doors for you or helps you think of it in a different way, you might have maybe already met one or two, but it doesn't mean you have to marry them. It doesn't mean you have to spend the rest of your life with them. It just means that you have them. They're there, which means there's more.
Yeah. I like that. And the pets question is awesome because I totally believe that your pets can be your soulmates and that we can reincarnate together with them. And that dogs reincarnate into people. I really, really, really believe that.
Okay, here's the thing. I don't know. And I didn't really have an opinion on this before, but in the books, the Michael Newton books, they do talk about pets and them having almost like a different spiritual template, like different energetic template, like a human soul, which has cognitive thinking, with a brain that is compatible with a human brain and a human body, wouldn't necessarily be the same template that it's just not the right kind of battery for the right electronics sort of thing. But again, I don't know. I've never met anybody in client form or otherwise who has said, oh, my dog's in my soul group or my cat's in my soul group. I do think that certain pets can come back to the same soul, but I think it's a different soul group, pet soul group, human soul group. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
But wouldn't you still call it like a soulmate? Someone that you keep reincarnating with?
I think that, yes. So that's a good distinction too. I think that a pet can be a soulmate and not necessarily be in the same human soul group or not human soul group. I'm trying to make it make
more
sense.
evolved soul group.
Because you can, like a more conscious soul group, because a human soul who was, let's say my soul could go inhabit on another planet in another life, and it wouldn't necessarily be a human, but it would be, isn't that cool, by the way? But it would be something human-esque, humanoid, so that it just has that level of consciousness. Gosh, there's so many questions. I'm getting flooded now, my brain. Okay, where should we go? We talked about the twin flame, and I did want to touch on that because you will have so many people come out and be like, the way that we're speaking about soulmates could be said about, like, what about an abuser? What about?
Well, it's all semantics and like how, like what label you want to put on soulmates. And yeah, like if you want to go there, we can go there next, because that's like probably once people get deeper into this topic, that's everyone's next question is like, well, is my rapist my soulmate? Because are they supposed to teach me some lesson from going through this trauma? And I think that's, I mean, I think if you zoom way, way out,
we need to zoom out for this one.
Definitely be agreements. And I'm not saying that they're right or that they should happen, but I think that too, from talking to dead people, let's just go there. From talking to dead people, I've definitely seen that people have told me that they made agreements to do bad things or to have bad things done to them to almost like repent for or create balance for what they maybe did to someone in a past life.
Interesting.
So or like vice versa. That's
where karma comes in.
As a fractal of God, you actually want to experience and know everything and everyone and every side of yourself and every aspect of yourself. And in that, there's good and bad. There is beautiful and there's the beautiful and the ugly. There's the traumatic and the healing. Like, we are everything. And I think that at the deepest level of wanting to know who we are, we're going to play out those dynamics for as long as we need to in order to learn from a soul level. But I don't condone bad things happening to good people, and I hate that it happens.
And here's what I say whenever that comes up and somebody's like, oh, really? Well, what about this crappy thing that happened to me? Look, crappy things happen. And I always just put the light back on me. I'm like, listen, you really want to know about me? You want to know? I'm like capital T over here. But what this idea and this concept has really helped me do is understand that for myself, if I didn't feel like I had a say, I don't know where I would be. So so for me reading these books and being like, oh, there's a soul agreement for you to be neglected as a kid or for you to go through all this experience. Like there are some people who cannot hear that. And I honor that and I'm here for you. And that is completely your prerogative to have that not resonate, throw it out with the trash. But for me, I heard that and I was like, wait. So just let's pretend for a sec that my soul was like, this is going to launch you into being bigger and better and a better version of yourself than you would be without it. If my soul chose that path and I knew it and I felt it, how can I not appreciate? How can I not appreciate that for what it is? For me, it helped me kind of just take back my power, take back my autonomy, take back that knowing that like, oh my gosh, like that's pretty amazing. And I don't want to sugarcoat it. Like, look, guys, it was horrible. Everything. The first 10 years of my life were just like a Jackson Pollock of horrible. But had I not gone through that, I don't know who I would be. Because I can distinctly draw a line from certain experiences that I've had to who I am today. And I am empathetic. I try to be compassionate. I try to be considerate. I try to be educational and inspiring and inspirational. And I don't want to be anything else. So I will never speak for anybody else's experience. I just won't. But what I will say about mine is if you're listening to me speak and you can kind of maybe a little bit relate that to your experience and say, if I hadn't gone through that, who would I be? Maybe that helps someone, because it definitely helped me to know that my soul had a choice and my soul being me was like, no, yeah, we're going to do this time because it's going to help you.
Hey there, we hope you're enjoying this episode so far, but if you want to listen to the whole thing, we're going to invite you over to our podcast. Either search for High Vibin It on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you guys listen to podcasts, or even better, if you want to watch the extended video version of this episode that's even longer than the actual podcast itself, head over to our Patreon at patreon.com/highvibe. Lindsay, tell them what's awesome about the Patreon.
Patreon is where we have all of our extended episodes. As Kelsey said, we have it on video so you can actually see the things that we're talking about. Sometimes we have visual aids and it's nice to know what we're talking about. We also have hangouts that we do sometimes that are exclusive to Patreon people. And you can get started with all of this and bonus content and everything that we have only for the Patreon people for as little as $3. I think it's $3.33 a month. And that's it. And you guys can get all the benefits and all access to everything that we put in there. Really cool.
It's really cool, really fun, super easy to join. And you guys don't even have to do that to finish this episode. If you're like, screw it, I don't want to pay any money, I just want to hear the rest of this episode, go to our podcast, High Vibin It, search for it wherever you listen. It's totally free. Either way, enjoy the rest of the show wherever you choose to enjoy it. And we will see you guys next week because we do a new one every week. Adios.
Bye.